Welcome to Archery Talk 101 podcast, your guide to better archery skills. We'll bring you the latest tips, tricks, and expert advice, but that's not all. We'll also have interviews with top archers and industry professionals and reviews of the latest gear and equipment and much more. You're talking about taking art skills to the next level? A coach can definitely help you with that. I've been teaching archery for over 25 years. I'm offering a free 50-minute consultation call. For anybody that would like one, please fill out the form. I'll leave a link in the description so we can get to know you a little better and see if I can help you in your archery skills. What's it take to be a competitive archer? Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm your host today on Arch Talk 101. And we have on the show with us with Adam Boege, and we're going to chat with him for a while today. Adam, let us know a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself and let everybody know.
Adam Boege. I'm from Indianola, Iowa. I got into the archery world basically because I wanted to hunt deer during the rut. That was the whole purpose of it, and it kind of bloomed from there. I got my first bow in 2016, and I had, never shot a bow. We shot the ones you shot in gym class, but that wasn't a bow you hunted with to me. So I got my first compound, and I met up with a local shop here close to us, and with Scott Pace and Back 40 Archery. He helped me out quite a bit, getting started with form, what to do, what to use for that. The whole plan was just to hunt. And a funny story about that, me and a good friend of mine joined a winter league so we get better at hunting. We wanted to be able to make sure we made ethical shots. That was the whole point of it. We made our ethical, the league was, you shot a half a 5-spot round, then you shot the dart system, which is animals on a video screen. It was fun. It was good fun. Then as we were leaving one night, I saw a flyer for a 3D shoot, 2-man best shot. We went, and it was in Mason City, which is about 2.5 hours north of us. So we went up to that shoot, and we shot that, and we looked like two fumbling idiots. We couldn't pull arrows out of targets. But we had such a great time. That's kind of where I got hooked. We just started shooting 3D after that. I mean, I hunted. I don't hunt as hard as I'd like to right now, but I'm more sitting on the target side, and it's a family thing. It's hard to explain with all the people you meet over going to shoots. It's a big family. So it's just a good time doing it.
Yeah, I know when I first started out, I wasn't very good at 3D either. I had a quiver full of arrows, and about halfway through, I'm down about half my arrows, and I'm hoping I can finish the course and still have arrows to finish. That's how I started out, and then you get better and better, and then it's like, okay, you don't lose any arrows, and now then you try and get through a little better shots, keep your average up, and I figured if I have an average of 8, that's a good kill on every animal.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, everybody says you have your good days and bad days with archery, and one of my better days is I was out hunting with my daughter, and I got to watch her shoot her first deer. There isn't much that tops that when you see her work hard all summer practicing with her bow. I mean, she shot 3D with us. I mean, it just kind of, and she shot her first deer. It was great to watch. Then bad days, I was on a 3D course, and everything went wrong. I had a new release I was using, and it was Carter Attraction, which is kind of like the Evolution, but it was run differently. When you drew back, you didn't have your hand on the safety. You drew back. When you got settled in, you pushed the trigger, then continue to pull through and it'd go off. And I don't know what happened that day. I couldn't get anything to work right. Out of 40 targets, I shot at 200, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe this isn't for me. And so on the way home, I was riding with my buddy Kyle, and Kyle goes, the good thing about that release, I could switch it to a thumb button. He goes, well, just switch it to a thumb button, see what happens. And we did that, and a lot of guys go, you're just going to punch it. You're just going to punch it. Well, I've worked hard enough at executing that release that I could pull through and activate the shot. And I started doing that. Things started coming back around. Then I upgraded to the Wise Choice, which was just a thumb button release. And it's been a lot of fun ever since. And we started, as you said, when we got started, we just did local shoots. Then we went to a Reinhardt 100. That was a big shoot for us. We went to that one year. Then that same year, I went to 3 of them. The next year, I went to 3 of them. I went to one in Iowa, Sparta, Wisconsin, and Aurora, Minnesota. And there's the Aurora trip was a lot of fun. That's where my buddy Joey got basically hooked on the competitive side. He was just a hunter. He was a very good hunter. So he had a 7-pin sight. Me and my friend Kyle were running single pins at the time. As we're up there, and a 7-pin sight shooting the targets at 42 yards, you're gapping pins. Well, we're dialing our sights to 42 and shooting. He goes, after the scores come in, he struggled. He goes, on the way home, he ordered a single pin sight. He goes, I'm done. If we're going to do this, I'm going to do it right. And he had a single pin sight coming, and then it kind of took off from there. And that was leading up to I got really into more of the target side in 2019 when Iowa had started its own ASA association. So we had state qualifiers here in the state, and that to me that's I love that format of 3D shooting. It's not it's not just aim center. You have an upper and a lower 12. There's a little more strategy involved in it, and I just like the strategy involved. I mean, you get, say you're up by 2 points. You got a deer 50 yards max. Are you going to aim IBO? You don't lay off. You aim center. It's a center 12. Well, ASA, you have an upper and a lower. Well, do I call the upper and aim just a little bit low? Maybe I'll bump up into it, or do you aim at the lower and aim a little high, maybe fall into it? It's just another aspect of it. Then I've always struggled shooting paper. It's 20 yards. It should be easy, but it's a mental game. It's all mental. So, and I'm starting to enjoy it, and I know a friend of mine's going to listen to this, and he's going to call me later and go, "Yep, you are." Yeah, but but it makes me better as a 3D shooter. The shooting the Vegas round and the 5-spot, and 2019 really started it all out for us, because that's the year I shot my first Iowa Pro-Am, which is great. The Iowa Pro-Am is 15 minutes from my house. So I spend all weekend up there shooting. And everybody goes, how was it for your first time? Well, you get up there and we'll shoot Friday nights, because we call it the Iowa night. Friday night, most of the shooters there are from Iowa. It's a 6:30 line time on a Friday night. But it's great. Most of your friends are there, local shoots. So it's 4 minutes for your 5-spot round. Well, I had 5 arrows off in 2 minutes. I went, you've got to slow down. I mean, the adrenaline was pumping. I was pulling through the bow. I mean, wow, this is, that's a feeling it's hard to get every time. And I was still using my bow hunting bow then. I just haven't, we were getting into it. And then I found the world of the target bow. And everybody goes, it's a rabbit hole. You fall down the rabbit hole, you're not coming back. So
no.
But I did, and I started out my first target bow was a Victory 39. A good friend of mine, Joey, sold his hunting bow, didn't have a bow at the time, and found a Victory 39 cheap. And I happened to be left-handed, so finding stuff to shoot and try is tough. Well, I'm fortunate. Joey is left-handed, which is bad for me and bad for him, because, well, I'll shoot your bow, see what it's like. I shot it a few times. Oh, I gotta have one of these. So I went and found one, shot it, and got it set up, and I shot that for probably 6 months, and I needed to get some draw mods. And I ordered draw mods. I waited and waited and couldn't get them. I was getting frustrated because the bow wasn't fitting the way I wanted to. And I got acquainted with Tyson Trunkhill that owns Sticks and Stones Archery up in Denver, Iowa. And I called him. I said, "Do you have any left-handed target bows?" He goes, "Yeah, I got one." I said, "Okay, I'll be up," because I go, I need a 30-inch draw, and my Victor is only 39. So I went up there and shot the Expedition. It was the Expedition Perfection is what I shot. And going from that Elite to the Expedition was a phenomenal change. That Expedition, it felt good. It was only a 36-inch ATA, but it fit me very well. So I thought, okay. So I got that bow, brought it home. And at the time, I didn't have the most high quality sight or anything. So my setup I got now that I shoot for pretty much all my target stuff is my Expedition Perfection. I run the True Ball Excel XB sight with a Shrewd Optim scope, and I run a 365 X lens, 6 power, and I run my peep is a podium peep with a number 1.5 clarifier, and I run an AE Pro Drop Rest, and that's basically my setup. It's not, and my bars are made by my good friend Pat Havner. He's dabbling making bars, so I'm running his bars, and there's so much. Once you get, I mean, everybody asks, "What do I need to get started?" I go, on a target bow, spend your money on your rest. You need to have that You need to have that adjustability with your micro adjust. You can get by with a cheap sight. I mean, for a while. I mean, yeah, you need good micro on that too, but your rest is all part of your tune. The goal is to get the bow tuned so it's the most forgiving it can be for you. I've seen it time and time again. Somebody will shoot somebody's bow and get a paper tear and oh, it's ready. No, it's not. You need to shoot that yourself to make sure it's tuned to you. But it's
right.
You can go down. That's a whole nother rabbit hole of tuning. But where do you go with it? I mean, that's part of the fun of it. So, yeah. So it's been a lot. That's kind of how I got started, where I'm at now. And last year, Pat called me up it was a Wednesday night. He goes, "Hey, you're going to get a call from Jason Abel." I go, "Who's Jason Abel?" "He's in charge of the pro staff for Expedition." I said, "Really?" So Jason called. I got to talking with Jason, and last December, I signed with Expedition to shoot on which is now their promotional staff. So I've been on Expedition's promotional staff for going on 2 years. This will be my second season with them. So, and they've got a lot of good products coming out now. I like the new X-Lite series. Hopefully I get my hands on one of them. I can get back with you and kind of give you a review on some of that for what it's got. But there's a lot of good products out there for even the beginners. I mean, you got to shoot what fits you, not what's popular. So
right. That's why when I had my store, people come in, it's like, well, I want to get the best. Well, what is that? And I say, well, they always say Matthews. And it's like, well, no, they're not the best. They're great bows, but
yeah,
the best is what fits you. If you take any top end bow, you could take a $3,000 bow. If it don't fit you, it's not worth anything. But if you take a $150 punch out bow and it fits you perfectly, then it's worth more to you than the high dollar one because it don't fit you. That's not like you're talking about. It's got to fit you, and setting up the bow and that's I've done that for since about 2001 when I became an archery dealer. I became a PSC dealer and start setting up bows. And I spent a week down in Tucson at their dealer school learning how to set up their bows, tear them apart, make strings, make the steel cables back when they slide steel cables on them. That's kind of an art that try and find somebody that knows how to do it anymore and is willing to do it. Because if you can find them, last I heard, there's like over $100 a cable. and ain't
Really?
nobody
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, it's
No.
not worth it because the bow's not worth it if it's still using steel cables. It's
Yeah.
pretty much not worth it anymore. But
Those are more of a nostalgic thing, hang on the wall and talk about it,
yeah,
But
yeah,
like you
it's
said, some of that's a dying art of what used to be, you know. But it's yeah, art. Yeah, it got. Yeah, I've met a lot of great people through archery. My first ASA Pro-Am was in Metropolis, Illinois, and I was shooting the K-45 class. My whole goal down there was to shoot even. That was the goal of the weekend, and I ended up shooting 6 up for the weekend, and I was happy. And it's a lot of fun. I haven't met anybody in the archery world that I can say I really don't like. They're all very helpful people, and they'll all talk to you. I mean, there's times I want to talk to someone, but I think, well, if they're practicing, I really don't want to bother them. But they'll tell you afterwards, why don't you just come talk to me? Well, you're here to do a job. I mean, that's your livelihood. I mean, so, and to me, it's a hobby, and it's just a good time. I mean, so yeah,
yeah, I found that the same thing, and that's why, I like getting the other archers, from all over the world on this podcast that, talk about them and see that, hey, if you're an archer, you're automatically a friend.
yeah, yeah.
you,
I
you
mean,
know,
so it's a different mindset, I guess. You go like yesterday, I was at a Lancaster style shoot at Archery Field and Sports, and I made it through the first round. The second round, I ended up losing to the guy that got second shoot by, and we're done, and they go, "Hey, would you do the commentary for the finals?" Sure, I'll sit behind the mic and talk about it. And that was a lot of fun. That was a different side of it. I got to tell guys what about each one of the archers, and I knew all the guys that were there really well from either different shops or on the 3D course. So, and that's the good thing. I've known, like I said before, the amount of people I've met into what we're doing is great. I mean, that winter league we first joined up and we went over there. It was 3 of us from Indianola driving to Oskaloosa, which is an hour drive, which we took once a week. We drove over and shot league, and we met what we call the Oskaloosa group. Pat Hafner, Jason Ross, and Jacob Ross, Rob Riley. We got to meet with those guys, and they're great friends. We anymore we go to 3D shoots. There's either 2 or 3 of them with me, and we go like this winter. Next week, we go to a big 2-man shoot up at Echo Valley for a 3D indoor, and they'll be up there. We'll be up there. We're going to get a motel room. We'll shoot Saturday. We'll stay the night, come back in and shoot Sunday morning for practice and go home. But I don't know how many other sports you could do that against your competitors. And by the end of the day, you sit down and have a beer with them.
right.
I mean, it's not about. I don't get me wrong. I like to win. I don't like to lose. But at the end of the day, I'm competing against myself. If I can beat last week's score, I'm doing something right. The
Right.
wins will
Yeah.
come. You can't. It's not all about the trophy because you've got to get yourself there. So once you get yourself there, time practice shooting the bow, and you hear that a lot from a lot of people. Well, I don't want to shoot with you. You got a target bow. Okay, I'll grab my hunting bow and I'll shoot with you. Well, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to outshoot you with either bow because I shoot. When you
Right.
shoot, a couple hundred arrows a week, if not more, well, you're going to outshoot the guy that picks his bow up 2 weeks before hunt season. And that's with that. I mean, it's just a different mindset with everybody on what they want to do and how they want to do it. And,
Yeah. It's just all about, where you want to take it and what you want to do with it. And, I know for me, shooting targets, doing the target stuff really didn't excite me, but I would shoot a lot of spots, because then I developed the skill to put the arrow where I want it. And then once I've developed that, then I like shooting the 3D shoots, because then that helps me in judging yardage. So when I'm out hunting, it's all to hunt.
Yeah.
I need to know I can hit my spot. I need to know I can judge the yardage. And then when I'm out hunting, then I have the skills. I've practiced all the multiple skills. Now I just have to remember when an animal walks out in front of me, you got to pick the spot to aim at.
Yeah. Well, like my first deer I shot it, buddy goes, well, how'd the shot feel? I go, I have no idea. All I know is I pulled the bull back and shot the deer. I couldn't tell you how it happened. I mean, that's where countless hours of practicing comes in, because that's not that's not what you're thinking about when that deer comes out. Okay, I need to execute the shot. I need to pull it. No, it's just you just need to do it.
Right.
And there's it's all. Can you repeat? That's like with everybody's form. Everybody thinks, well, you need to do it this way. You need to do it that way. Well, if you can do whatever you're doing and repeat it every time the same way, you're going to get the same result. I mean, there are certain things that have to be, that you have to have your lock points have got to be in the same spot every time. Whether the
Right.
tip of your whether your string be on the tip of your nose, the knock at the corner of your mouth, or I got some guys that run that run the string on the side of their nose. If it's in the same spot every time, it works.
Right.
And not all of it might not be what the book says to do, but if they can repeat it multiple times, it works for them. So,
Right.
and
Well, and all that too, I use the kisser button, and then, got the peep, and then on the nose, but it all
yep,
depends on what's the axle length, what's your draw length. And, that's the biggest thing. If the string it's a shorter axle length, then that string is a sharper angle. You may not be able to get it to touch your nose because the angle's so sharp.
yep,
If it's a real
yep,
tall one, you may not be able to get it on the tip of your nose because it just won't fit, because it's so far, going straight up. The angle is so acute, and it
yeah,
all just depends on, all the different factors on them, and where it's going to go. And each bow is going to be slightly different. And I had a bow one time I wanted to shoot. It was I wanted PSD. The Browning come out with one with counter rotating cams. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I shot it a couple of times. It was nice and smooth, but I just couldn't get it to fit me.
yeah,
It just didn't fit. So I was like, I wanted to shoot that bow, but I couldn't get it to fit me. It just would not fit for some reason. And that's like, you were saying, you just got to get something that fits you. That's the most
yeah,
important thing. If it don't fit you,
yeah,
you're not going to shoot it very well.
yeah. Like when I started playing with long bars, because I run a 30-inch front bar and we target bow and a 12-inch back bar, and I ask people, what do you run for weight? And he goes, it's all personal preference. Well, I go, what do you mean by that? The one guy goes, you'll know. The bow will tell you what it needs. I go,
Right.
what do you mean? So I'm putting it on one day, I'm putting it on, I drew back, and it just sat there. I'm like, there it is. That's it. That's the combination. It just sat, it didn't move, the float was good. And so, and everybody's counting your weights. I go, well, that's fine. You can count my weights, but that might not work for you. So, and some of the new archers that are getting in the target side, that's what I tell them. Start with low amount of weight, figure out what works, and go from there. Because you get too much weight in the bow, now you can't hold it up, and you're struggling, and you're wore out by
Right.
the end of a round. So start. I mean, there's times I think I have too much weight on my bow, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, yeah. So going back to now, we're a few years in. Like, this will be our 4th year for the ASA in Iowa. 2 years ago, I become an Iowa ASA state representative. So I'm helping directly with our directors setting up shoots, and it's we don't set the shoots, but we help the clubs do it. So, which with the clubs hosting the shoots, it helps the clubs get more shooters to their club to shoot.
Right.
Which I don't know if you've noticed, numbers are dwindling on shoots, on 3D shoots. How do you get them back? You know, I don't know. You bring there's a lot of different ways, but we're getting to the point now. I think we're up to 9 shoots this year for ASA and plus our state, and we've got pretty good quality of shooters coming through. It's not the K45 class is really tough. It's a very tough class to shoot. That's probably our biggest class right now. Our K40 class is good, and this year last year the club out of Flint River down by Burlington started S3DA club. So the younger kids are starting to get into it, which is great. I enjoy seeing the kids shoot. That's fun to watch. Watching them come up. My daughter shot ASA with me. She got, and my daughter and my good friend Kyle's son Deacon shot, and Jason's son Jacob has shot. I've seen them shooting since 2016, and they're Deacon and Jacob are phenomenal shooters. I got to see them place the podium at the Iowa Pro-Am. It was 3 years ago. I got to see those guys place there. I've seen my daughter in 2 shoot downs at the Iowa Deer Classic in the 3D side. And then at the ASA, she's got 2 state titles. So I enjoy winning, but to see the success of those kids, that's awesome. And, you know, I got into this game late in life. I was 40 when I started shooting a bow. So they started when they're in their teens, and they're just beating me up. I left one side down the other, but it's fun, you know. That's what it's about. Get the younger people in, because the older people are starting to disappear that are doing it. Get interest in the younger people, and we'll keep this sport going. So,
yeah, that's what's nice. In some of your schools, they have archery programs and getting the kids involved in it, and you know, that's always a good thing to do, because you know that you see some of the kids they'll get on the Wii or something and play an archery game where they're shooting this fake bow, and it's like, why don't you go out and shoot a real bow?
yeah,
you know, and you know, that's what we're fighting is against all the games, you know, the thumb exercises where you're just constantly using your thumbs to play games, and you know, get your whole body in it. And that's a skill that, you know, once you learn, you can shoot for decades. You know,
yeah,
I know guys in their 70s that are shooting.
yeah. We've got 3. Yeah, we got 3 older gentlemen: Steve Lepick, Tommy Thompson, and Mel Miller. I know those guys really well, and they are in the same class. I think they're in the senior masters class, I believe, and they battle it out every time they're on the course. You should hear them hoop and holler back and forth. It's just great to see that. So somebody will get a good shot, like state. That Steve was having a bad day and happened to shoot a 0, and I was a target behind them. I heard Tommy say, Steve goes, "I'm ahead of you now, Tommy. I'm ahead of you on zeros." Tommy goes, "Oh yeah." So Tommy shot the bag target behind the target, goes, "That we're tied now." And I just about died. And like, come on, you guys. But that's, you know, if you get to that, you know, people that long, you can do that. I mean, that's what makes what we do fun. I mean, it's Karam, I mean, it's great to be able to be even that age and still go out, compete and have fun and do it with your buddies.
Yeah,
You know, I hope
that's always the fun part. I know when I was younger, a friend of mine, I used to go to school or go to shoots with all the time, and you know, we didn't really care how we showed up in the overall ranking. What made a difference is who got the higher score, because they got to give the crap on the way home instead of receiving it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. one of those is like, okay, who gets bragging rights this next week until we go to the next event, and then next week it changes.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, but around our area, like Iowa, you're in Nebraska, correct?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, wintertime, there ain't much to do in the winter. It's cold and
No.
snowy.
Right.
So I'm fortunate enough. I've got there's 3 indoor ranges I can go to within 45 minutes of my house. Archery Field Sports has an indoor range. It's 40 up to 40 yards. I shoot in a little one in Lacona. It's just 20, but it's then I got Total Outdoorsman in Pella, which I've taken a fairly big role in helping them with their shoots and everything there. That is actually 60 yards indoor.
Oh, that's
And teeth.
long range.
Yeah, and it's a great facility. It's 24/7 access, and it's only 120 a year
Oh, that's
for
not
that.
bad.
No, and I started. We went over there for a fall league, and we shot, and there's only a couple guys there that shoot archery, and they weren't quite sure how they wanted to do it. So we got to talking with them, this and that. Next thing you know, they're asking, would you just kind of help us out? So I kind of taken the reins, and now we run a fall league before deer season. It's 4 weeks. It starts September and ends before October, before bow season opens here in Iowa. We have usually fairly decent numbers for that. Then I run a fall league, a winter league, which starts after hunting season closes. And that is, we shoot the ASA DAR face, which it looks like it's got ASA rings on it, but it's just on paper. And I'll set those targets at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 yards. Then I got one that I move around. It could be wherever I decide to set it that week. Like the first week was 15 yards. The second week was 20, 35. This coming week could be 25. So you shoot through that twice, and it gets everybody warmed up for 3D, for the coming 3D season. And that's a really good time. It gets everybody together. Then they bought one of the ASA courses from the Iowa Federation. So they've got 20 ASA targets. We'll run 3D shoots a year through there, which we run a scramble is what we do, which you go up, pay your money. You draw out of a hat. That's your partner, and it's best shot. You go through, and then we have a shoot off. The top 5 go to a shoot off, and depends on how many people are there. I'll pay the top 3 places, or we just pay one place. It's 7% payback, and that's a lot of fun if you've never shot a scramble. You get to meet new archers. You shoot with somebody you don't ever get to really shoot with, and you get a little money at the end if you're good enough. So
yeah,
I mean, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, you get guys together, even gals. I've shot with a lot of women that are fairly good archers. I mean, really good archers. So
yeah, I know a few that are really good archers too. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a sport that doesn't make any difference. It's all the skill.
yeah.
You don't have to be big and strong. You can shoot 35 pounds or 30 pounds. You just got to learn how to shoot it.
Yeah, I've always laughed. These guys, I need a 90-pound bow for what? For and I just get a chuckle out of it. That's fine. You want to pull 90 pounds, go right ahead. I just laugh, and everybody, and all my bows are 60 pounds. I can kill a deer with a 60-pound bow. I watched my daughter kill a deer with a 45-pound bow. So don't tell me you got to have 80 pounds to kill a deer.
No.
I mean, it's all about shot placement and putting it where it needs to be. So
yeah, my first deer was 52 pounds. I was 20 feet up in a tree, and the deer was 40 yards away. And when it turned around, I almost put the arrow as a full length 21-17 arrow. So it's like 32, 34 inches long, and it almost went completely through. And
yeah, there's, yeah, and yeah, it's just one of those. Archery's taken off for me. I mean, I've been fortunate. I've been around a lot of great people to help me along the way. So, I mean, uh, like I said before, Scott helped me when we got started. And the first time I remember very vaguely the night we got those resistance releases. We're back there, and I pull back. Probably my shooting the evolution. He pulled back, let off the safety, and went off right away. And so that just tells you how hard we were pulling on the back wall with our wrist straps when we were going. So we got started. And there's been nights that we went down there, we'd shoot league and stop at Scott's on the way back, shoot with him a little bit. There's nights we'd leave his house at 3 a.m. because we were playing a game of darts with our bows on an 8-yard target. Well, then it got to the point it got too easy, so we make up other rules to make it harder. And it's just stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how many things the guys can do that, yeah, you know what I mean? It's good times with other people.
Yeah, there's a lot of different game targets. There's the tic-tac-toe game, where you have the tic-tac-toe. It's shaped just like that. Then you have, your dart ones that look like a dartboard you shoot. You have ones that have cards on them. Those are a lot of fun games to play. Playing the tic-tac-toe is kind of fun because, if you want that spot, you got to get closer to the center. And if you already got yours dead center, then the only way they can take it away from you is stick the arrow down the back of yours.
Yep. So we play the international face that has the 3 verticals.
Right.
We set those up for tic-tac-toe. And we do it at 50 yards. So if you want to lock your spot in, you have to hit the X. But if you're not in the X and someone wants that spot, they hit the X, it's theirs.
Right.
So it comes down to who can steal your spot towards the end of the night when we're playing that. And we usually do it with teams after league. We do all kinds of games after league. We do an Annie Oakley with balloons.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you ever shot an Annie Oakley before.
No, I haven't.
Line up. So what we do is we line up 3 guys. The first guy goes first. If he doesn't hit his balloon, the second guy misses. The third guy hits the balloon. Those top 2 guys are out.
Oh, okay.
So and it just goes through there. And when there's a little money and a little side bets going on, so it just makes it a good time after league. We come up with little games after league usually when we play, and it gets everybody involved, and everybody has a chance to win a little money. It's good times.
One of the shops around that used to be around here over in Council Bluffs, they'd take a vacuum with the exhaust port pointing up, and they stick a ping pong ball on.
Yeah,
and
that's
this
a good
ball is bouncing
time.
up and down, up and down, up and down. You're trying to shoot it, and your form all goes away because you can't use proper
you're
form.
gonna punch the trigger.
You're gonna have to try and get a timing and just go, because it's not consistently just not floating there because it's bouncing up and down, and it's not a consistent up and down either. So those are all interesting ones.
we built a blower. We had a night. It was myself, Kyle, Scott, and Joey down at the range. We had a ping pong ball. We bought a whole bunch of them. And the game was, if you stuck the ping pong ball to the wall, you got 3 points. If you just knocked it, it was 1. Well, you had to win by 2. It got to the point that we were sticking the ping pong ball almost every time to the wall. So it's like, man, we're running out of ping pong balls. What are we going to do now? But, and everyone goes, how late do you guys normally shoot? I go, well, there's nights we'll get down to the range at 7, and we might not leave till 1 or 2 in the morning. Just doing stuff like that. We're still working on form. We're still practicing, but it's a lot of times you just don't want to sit there and pound a Vegas face all night. You want to break it up a little bit and enjoy other aspects of it. And that's, most of our shoots we go to, my closest ASA shoot for qualifier is an hour. I mean, I drive, I'll drive average of probably, our longest one is 3. So there's quite a few of them that are 3 hours away, and that to me that's dedication. You can drive 3 hours to go shoot 25 targets,
Yeah.
but that's part of what we do to get better and and practice. And we have a lot of local shoots too which are IBO, which is fine. Our local club here, actually, is Mid Iowa Archers, and when they drew the Shield shoot, we'll have almost 400 shooters here
Oh,
for
that's
a
a lot of
local
shooters.
for yeah. But we're like I said, we're in the Des Moines metro
Right.
area. We draw everybody out of Des Moines. It's like, man, if we could get you guys just to venture out of and go to other ones and help all the clubs in the area. But with everybody doing other things with kids, and everybody's busy.
Yeah,
So
everybody's busy, and kids get interested in other things, and then you might have one kid interested in archery, another one's interested in some other sport, and they're always seem to be at the same time. So
yeah,
you either got to pick one to go to, or you got to split up or something, and that's what's nice to get all
well,
your kids into
yeah,
archery.
well. With that being said, like one of the shoot downs my daughter made at the Deer Classic for the 3D, she actually had softball practice at the same time as the shoot down. I said, "You need to pick." She called her softball coach, says, "I'm going to go shoot archery. I'll be in practice next week." Because it was in February, it was in early March, and her coach actually understood. You got other hobbies too. You should probably go do, and it can be done with a lot of now with the college team, be having college archery teams. I see it starting to take off a little more, like trap took off big time around here, and I'd like to see the archery do the same thing. With you got all the trap college teams right now. There's a lot of archery college teams coming up, and they shoot, and it's good. They can shoot any discipline they want. You got compound, recurve, Olympic recurve, bare bow. So there's so many different aspects everybody can shoot, and it suffice any any class you want to shoot in that.
Right.
And that's going to help the sport tremendously, to keep it around. Then I think the TV coverage the last couple of years for the ASA shoots has helped a lot. Even the Vegas or Lancaster coming up. I mean, the Lancaster shoot coming up next week, it'll be on all day for the shoot ups, which is great. We get to watch all the classes shoot up, and it's it's one of those things. It's like golf. Golf can be sometimes boring to watch. Archery can be boring to watch. Like watching someone shoot a 300 round on a 5-spot round. That's 60 arrows.
Yeah.
That would be tough to sit and watch. But you get to a shoot down where, okay, I've got to have 3 great arrows to win. That's exciting. That's how you make it exciting, and I think that's how you get a lot of people involved. And I mean, I go back to the ASA with the pressure point shoot down. You get 5 archers up there, 5 targets, and they're all within. Let's say they're all within 2 points, and they start chasing 14s. That's fun to watch. That is
Yeah.
a good, and just they're doing the coverage. I believe it's starting to grow a little bit. Hopefully, it grows more. Get more people involved so we can keep what we have going. So, I mean, you hate to ever see the less archers we get, or even in the hunting world, the less hunters we get. Are they going to take that away from us somewhere down the line? I don't ever want to see that happen, because then what? I mean, if overpopulation of animals, there's disease. The only way you can control it is through hunting. It's just the only way.
Yeah, the herds are going to get reduced one way or another, either with
They
disease
are.
and dying off, or we can not let them go to waste and have the coyotes eat them. We can eat them instead.
Yeah, and that's because Well, yesterday, Total Outdoorsman had they put on a 24-hour coyote hunt. They brought 125 coyotes in 24 hours. That's pretty good numbers for
Yeah.
and they're helping with that population, and the amount of deer tags sold in Iowa is phenomenal. But you say that, but then you go look at a local 3D shoot, they might have 20 shooters. So then you wonder where are all these guys at to shoot archery that all these deer tags went to.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to they're probably doing something else for their kids, but if you could get them into, well, just go to one or two a year and make,
Make it a
so
little better.
it's, yeah. Yeah.
I know that,
But
and then a lot of them hunting too are not really as good as what they need to be. I know when I was in one of the archery clubs here in Omaha, we had a broadhead sight-in day where we sighting our broadheads in before season started, and we had broadhead targets out, and I was amazed at how many people at a 10-yard target couldn't hit where they needed to be. At 10 yards, they weren't even accurate enough. So, that's what we had. And I was amazed how bad some of the shooters were. And, I don't need to practice. Yeah, well, you do need to
but
practice.
the minute you say something to them, their ego takes over. And
right.
You can't talk to them. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to help. But, and I see where they're coming from. I guess to them, it's no different than Iowa shotgun season.
Right.
Those guys only pick their shotgun up once a year. It's for shotgun season. I mean, it's just the way it is. And there's a few of us that found the passion for the target archery side to make us better hunters. And,
right.
But I will say, because John Dudley does live not too far from where I'm at. He has a cult following of people, and he's getting people to shoot, like all the TAC events he goes to. That you can't get into a TAC event now if you tried. They sell out in 10 to 12 minutes. Which maybe that's what it needs to get people shooting again. Is those big social party events, they call it, or I don't know what else you want to call it for a shoot, but I've never been to a TAC. It doesn't. I'm not saying I'd like to, but I don't know if it's what I'd like to do.
Now, for our listeners that don't know what that is, explain what a TAC event is.
The TAC event is a total archery challenge, and they got different courses. Like I said, I've never been there. I've seen a lot of videos of it, so I'm going by what I've seen. I've got a couple buddies that have gone, but it's basically you hunt. It's in the mountains or on a ski resort. You're up and down hills, and there's some courses your shortest shot is 60 yards. Your longest shot will probably be 120, and they're not friendly shots, for what I've been told. You might have a rock an inch below the vitals of a 3D target, and they say they got piles of arrows. The guys I've talked to, they took 24 arrows with them. They only brought 5 home.
Oh,
just from, well, not that they missed. It's just you hit objects that they break, but people love that. I mean, I've seen the videos. It is neat. I mean, it is neat to do. The Reinhardt 100s are picking up. I have done those. Those are a lot of fun. If the listeners are listening, if you can go to one only for one day, shoot the African side. That is the side I would suggest you shoot. That is the side you will see targets that are custom built by Reinhardt. They don't sell those targets. I got to shoot a life-size giraffe, and a T-Rex. I mean, a life-size elephant. Like the giraffe, to pull the arrows out of the giraffe, you got on a step ladder to pull. Oh. And there's a lot of neat videos of that. I'll see if I can share a video that we made on the Facebook page. So give the guys that don't know what the R100 is kind of a clue what it is. It's a very family friendly shoot, the R100s, and so are the TACs. It's just there are two different styles of shooting of each one. I mean, the R100 set up for you're probably your longest shot would be 50 yards at the most there, but it's all in good fun. The TACs are the same way. You don't have to keep score at TACs, and you don't have to keep score at Reinhardt's, but it's I don't. You're going to lie to yourself if you're not keeping score to keep track where you're at against your buddies. I mean, you just are. I mean, if you tell me you're not, then you're wrong. Everybody knows, because nobody walks on an archery course that doesn't keep score.
Right.
Nobody does. But yeah, so I mean, I think those things are helping get more people involved in the archery stuff, and I don't. It hopefully becomes more mainstream with YouTube and all the different people doing videos. Archery's it's getting out there more. Like I said, with the colleges shooting, and yeah, I just hate to see it go away.
Right.
I don't think it's going to go away in my lifetime, but who knows?
Archer's been around for 64,000 years, so I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
No, but it's that first guy goes, I want to stab that guy 20 yards away. Let's put this sharp thing on this thing and see if we can shoot it through this thing with a string. I mean,
yeah.
you imagine the conversation they had setting that first bow up. Well, that ain't going to work.
Yeah, so, just take a stick and put a string on it and fling another stick. That's archery.
Yeah. Now you got to do it 10 times to make sure it works the same way. Yeah, but yeah, I've shot behind the guys that shoot the trad bows. Oh, that looks like a blast, but I really don't need to go down another rabbit hole. I'm down to one deep enough now. But
yeah,
those guys have a lot of fun. So
yeah, they do. I've got a recurve, a PSE recurve, but I don't shoot as much as I'd like to. But I have it set up for bow fishing.
Yeah,
I can shoot it quicker than I can a compound. When I get the recurve in my hand, I can just look at the target, draw back, and shoot. Sometimes hit it, sometimes not. I went out one time, I'm shooting at fish, and I'm missing all these fish. And a little bitty skinny gar about 1.5 inch diameter comes by, and I hit it.
Well,
I'm missing all these big fish, and I hit this little bitty gar. It's like,
yeah, it's amazing how that works sometimes.
Yeah.
I've had days like that in the course where I can't buy a 12 or 20 yards at all. I got been on a short, all over around that thing. You get one out at 45, draw back, settle down, let it go, boom, 12, dead center. It's like, what's going on here? That shouldn't have been that easy. I can't hit the close ones today, but we can hit the ones that are a mile away. But it's, like I said, and just some of the guys, if you're going to have a bad day on the course, but don't get discouraged. It's how you come back from that. And I told another buddy of mine, Mike, I go, he worries. I go, well, I shot a bad arrow. I go, until you can figure out how to make that arrow come back to your bow from the target, there's nothing you can do about it. The arrow's been fired. Move on to the next one. Fix the next arrow. Make it your good shot. You come back from that. There's so much of that, like I said before, is a mental game. And if you can get your mind wrapped around, this is what I need to do to execute that shot correctly, it'll all come around. Your scores will come around. You'll start winning, but you got to work on it.
Yeah, it's that arrow's in history, and if you dwell in the past, then you're just going to repeat the past. Learn from it and move on.
Yeah, 100% correct.
One of the things that I used to do with my through the rig is I'd have a piece of string material. Because when I had my store, I had a great big roll of it, so I'd make one fits around my thumb with my draw length, and I could take my release and I could practice with it until that string would go straight off my hand. So I'm out there, something's going wrong, I'll use that string technique. And once it starts shooting off my hand, it's like, okay, I'm back again.
Yep.
Then next
Yeah.
arrow's good. Just something you can practice on the way.
It's amazing what a mental reset will do.
Right.
To get you back into it. And so, yeah, it's hard sometimes watching the guys. They have a mental breakdown. They just don't know what they're doing. The equipment's wrong. They don't know. You need to relax, take a deep breath, and start over. And yeah, it just there's a lot of people that get discouraged with that, or even coming in, like I said before, they come in and see all the target bows sitting there, and the guy's shooting that. Well, I don't want to shoot league here because I can't compete. And the old saying is like the cream always rises to the top. Well,
right.
That's the unfortunate saying. It does. You get target guys that shoot their target bows well. Do you not think they're going to shoot their hunting bow well? And that's like I said, it's just want to get more people involved. And if I can figure out how to do that, I will. If it takes talking to you or talking to other people every day, go, yeah, just come shoot. I want you to feel what I feel when I'm around everybody that I consider a family. You're going to get that you might not have in your life, and it'll make it better.
Right.
Because of a bow and an arrow. So
yeah, and it's all over the world. I had a guy from South Africa on here not too long ago, and his story, you can go back and listen to the podcast on there, or watch the video. I think it's out yet. Where he wanted a bow, didn't have one, had to make his first bow, and then he finally had, I think his sister bought him one arrow, and now he supplies all the wood arrows for South Africa, and he makes bows. You can take it wherever you want, and that's just something. Where do you want to go? You want to stay in the traditional realm? You want to do wood arrows? You want to do aluminum arrows? You want to do carbon arrows? I probably wouldn't shoot too much aluminum anymore because you shoot them for a year and you got to replace them. And carbons, they're either broke or straight.
They're broke. Yeah, they're broke or they're straight. You're right. They're broke or straight.
Yeah.
And
there
you got a bent.
Yeah, and there you have different straightnesses, and I always shoot the Comp Pros the 001 straightness just because I want that small scoop as I can get. And the aluminums, I think like you was going to do, as you shoot aluminum, they flex. How do you break a piece of aluminum? You keep flexing it until it gets weak and breaks.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen the slow motion video of an arrow being shot?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
We kind of, me and like I said, my friend Joey, he's kind of a book nerd when it comes to that stuff. Oh, the amount of stuff he's read and we've tried, and now it got to the point we were fletching our arrows to the same spin they had coming off the bow without fletchings. So if the arrow was turning right off the bow, we put a right helical on. So the arrow didn't have to change directions coming off the bow. You ask some people, it doesn't matter. Well, to us, it did. Well, why change the rate of motion midair? Just go with it.
Right.
Does it matter? I don't know, but it makes me happy. If it makes you happy, then it works. I mean, and yesterday I saw a guy shooting his bow, and most people run their back bar back. Well, he had his back bar in front of his bow. Well, I'm going, well, that's different. I've never seen it that way, but it worked for him. So who am I to say it doesn't work? And it's so, and even like tuning, you've done enough tuning owning a shop that you're right. You can't take a green archer and get him to tune, especially through paper, because his form's not there.
That's right.
Even a month after he shoots, it might not be there. So maybe paper tuning is not the way for him. I've walked back tuned. I mean, I do I've done it all. Bare shaft paper, bare shaft at 20 yards, get the bare shaft and the flex shaft to match, do all that, then walk back tune. I get the same result. It's all, I could have just went with the walk back tune, did it all and been done instead of doing all of that. But I believe a bare shaft through paper, 8 yards, shows you what your form's doing.
Right.
Is your form on. It'll show more form flaw than it will bow flaw, I believe. Because once you get your bow tune, go shooting, and well, it's got a tear. Is that you? You know, what was it a bow hole before? Or did you move it to get your bare shaft to get your walk back tune? Well, if they happen to match up where you don't have to move it for your walk back tune, well, then your paper tear is not going to change, but you got to move your rest for your walk back tune. You are going to have a paper tear. So the guys, and I got hung up on the paper tear for a while. I had a very long conversation with Joey the other night about it, and he made a lot of sense. You can't get hung up on the paper tear unless you see the results from your walk back. If your walk back's good, that's fine. It's no different if you're tuning for a broadhead.
Right.
You know, you can get a perfect paper tear, now put a broadhead on that arrow, and then you're hitting three feet to the left. Well, your paper tear is going to come back because now you got to move some. And then you talk about arrows, different spine. I mean, there's so many. I've been playing with different arrow setups, and last year I went from shooting 23s for 3D to X cutters, low tip X cutters, but I cut them at 26.5 inches. I've got a 30-inch draw. So I cut them as short as I could cut them and everybody goes, why? Well, I wanted to see what they do. They steered good, they shot good, and they were light, and I got a little more speed out of them. So this year, I tried that with my triple X's. I'm going to see how they work for 3D outside. So we'll see. I mean, experiment, try it, see if it works. Or like even releases. I went from the Carter Wise choice. Now I'm shooting the Stan Onyx heavy metal, which I have very large hands. So I got the extra large. That's a heavy release in brass. But it feels really good in my hand, and it's a thumb button, and I execute it well. And I just, I wanted enough. So I always tend to carry 2 releases, one for a backup in case I have a malfunction on the course. I grab the other release I can finish. And I ordered another Onyx, but I didn't get the heavy metal because I wanted something I could hunt with too, but I got 2 of the same. But in saying experimenting, it gets expensive to experiment. So if you're fortunate enough, you got a friend, you guys can try different things, maybe split it up together, and but you don't know what's going to work until you try it. You've been in the shop business, if you know what, is it going to work? I don't know. Let's try it. That's what archery is. You got to experiment and see what works for you.
But I remember I've told this story on one other podcast, but it kind of fits in here too. I had a gentleman call me up, not too long, before we closed, and he said, "Can you set my bow up to shoot 2 arrows same time?" I said, "Well, why?" And he says, all the rest of the shop said no. And I said, "Well, you can't afford me while I'm open, so come in after I close, get ready as I close, and then we'll go play." And it was back before they had center shot design risers on his bow. They had them, but his was not one. So you use stick-on rests. So I was able to put two stick-on rests on there and knock up 2 arrows. And what he wanted to do, he was a motivational speaker, and he wanted to get the kids' attention by shooting 2 arrows and popping 2 balloons. Way to get kids' attention, right?
That
good icebreaker. It's like get their attention. So we played around with, because he's using a release, and if he's doing fingers, put it 1 above the top one between and 1 below, then 3 that way, but he's using a release, so we had to put a loop on it. So we're playing around with adjustment, how, lining up the fletchings, so that they didn't interfere with each other as they're shooting, and tying a loop, maybe tying a loop in between both of them, tying it above them, below them. And we found the only way that really worked is you have the knock point for the top arrow, which is the loop, and then another knock point for the second arrow and a loop down below it. So we're pulling the loop above the top one and below the bottom one, and that gave us our best consistency. And we was able to get groups they grouped about 1/8 of an inch is the most variation we have between arrows.
Wow, that's insane.
Now they weren't very fast because you lose half your power because you're shooting double the weight
kidding.
arrow. Yeah. So we was able to do it.
It worked. I mean, you never would have tried it if someone would have said that.
Right.
Well, now they got a crossbow that shoots 2 bolts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bowtech has a crossbow that'll shoot 2.
Oh yeah.
You shoot one, you can shoot the other. Yeah. So I mean, some guy had to think of that and try it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it works. I mean, what the hell? Well, it might work. I don't know. Let's try it. I mean,
yeah. So we spent about an hour and a half playing around with it, and you learn a lot about how to tie the loops on, because we tried putting knock points on them, and then for both arrows, and we found the best way to do it with a single arrow, no knock points, just your knot for your upper loop and the top and bottom knots are each side of the knock, and then you just put them in there. There's no gap, no variation between them. There's no slip or anything in there. That give us the best flight out of everything we shoot in one arrow. And it kind of makes sense, because when I set up a bow, I use levels and lasers to set everything up. I'll do, put the bow in, I'll get the bows level in the jig, and then I'll get the height where I want the arrow to be, which is just slightly upper part of the burger button. And then at a right angle, tie the loop in, and then I have a laser that fastens on where your sight is. You take sight off, you shine the laser back on your string, clear out to the tip, and when it lines up, you're perfectly center shot and you're level. And I set them up that way. There's no reason really to shoot through paper, because it's the best you're going to get.
Yep. Right.
I've had people come in and say, they can't, they're getting terrible tears. Watch their foreman, they got a death grip on the bow, and when the bow shoots, it twists, and then I shoot it, get a perfect tear.
Yeah, I see that. And someone, I tried teaching my nephew how to shoot. I said, you can't choke the chicken, buddy. You're choking the chicken. You lighten up a little bit on the grip. You got to. He said, what do you mean? I said, and I showed him on my hand. They go, follow the lifeline with your bow,
right,
on your hand, right through there. And you just sit and let it relax. I go, I promise you, you will not pull your thumb off. The bow will not come through your thumb. I promise you. If the bow comes through your thumb, we have a larger problem.
Right.
So and he started doing it, and he got it. I mean, there's got to be other ways to explain what we're trying to do, like pull them through the shot, like on your release. I mean, you're using a part of your shoulder muscle that you never activate. So Kyle come up with it, go lean against the wall, check your elbows, and shove yourself away from the wall with your elbows. You're activating that muscle. So that's one way to look at it. When you're pulling through your back, and you don't activate that muscle and just bring it back. And people laugh at me sometimes. I'm back there with my thumb button. I go, I just can't get it to go off. What do you mean you can't get it to go off? Just push the button to go off. I go, I can't. I had to let down. I couldn't get activated to pull through and let it go off.
Right.
That way. But it's a thumb button. I know. I've tried punching it. I just can't get myself to do it. I worked hard enough and long enough on it. I get back there and just kind of gradually pull through, and it goes off. So it's just different verbiage when you're trying to help people. What makes their head go, this will work. oh, I know what you mean now. The light bulb goes off,
Yeah.
because, instead of trying to beat your head against the wall, trying to explain it, and okay, I got to think of a different way to do this so they'll understand.
Well, and I explain
So,
it, take a pencil and pretend like you're trying to squeeze it and hold it between your shoulder blades, as you're drawing. Because now that
yep,
gives you, okay, I'm trying to squeeze it. And like, kind of like you said, push L, push away. You got to activate those,
yep,
back muscles. And,
yeah,
it's all, I spent, many years doing martial arts before I even learned back tension release. And so I take what I learned as far as how to do the back tension release, and I kind of made little tweaks in it for me anyway, on how I do it and how I teach it, because it's all, efficiency of motion. I push towards, when my hand goes off, my hand points to the target. You get some that
yep,
have an open stance, so their arms way over in the front. When it goes off, their hand goes back, and
yep,
that's not as consistent as pushing to the target. And that's why I set up. I kind of, that's where my approach comes from. But that's what works for me. That's where I start, then have to modify it. Like you may not be able to do the same stance that I'm using because your body's different than mine. And,
yeah,
and
yeah,
over the 20 plus years I taught martial arts, as well as the 20 plus years I've been teaching archery, you kind of learn, okay, they're not getting it. We got to do something different. Their body won't work. It's just all a matter of, how does your body work? You're different size than I am. Everybody's a different size. Their muscle structure is different. Everybody's a little bit different. It's just all in technique.
yeah, yeah.
I had
Mine is more of a push pull. I'm pushing and pulling all at the same time, and it just
right,
breaks, and I can tell there's times I get too much push, I'll hit high, or and on point now I can tell even before the arrow leaves the bow, it can be a good shot.
right, yeah.
Like, oh
You
no,
learn that.
and it's like, oh, that's bad, and you already know before it left. And there's times that I've shot Vegas rounds, like, oh, that's bad. You get down there, it's an X. I go, there's no way, and I because it didn't break there. It broke clear out here in the red, but it's in the yellow. So okay, I'll
We'll
take
take
that.
it.
Give me, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
take it. We're not going to argue about it, but it's all about trust in the process of the whole thing.
right. Yeah,
If you
I've
can,
done the same thing.
yeah, maybe we get too much. We need to control where that pin is sitting at all times. No, just trust that you're going to hold it there, but it's got to move. I mean, I know guys where if the pin doesn't move, it freaks them out. Where it's just sitting there, and that's worse than it moving. Because I'm used to it, a little bit of float, just a little bit,
Right.
But there's times I got back there and it just sits there, and I go, man, that is beautiful. It's just sitting there. Well, I forget to activate the shot, and there I sit because I'm admiring how it's not moving.
Right.
It's like so, and
Well,
they're
and
like,
yeah, and
go
that's
ahead.
advantage of those long stabilizers that you have on there, the big long ones in front, and the
Yep.
counterweights to keep it balanced. Is your tightrope walkers use that great big long, what is it, 10 or 15 foot long pole, because it doesn't move quick.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and the same thing with the target. A lot of target bows are real long axle to axle because they don't move as much. You take the short ones, and just like take a little pencil and see how fast you can move it back between your fingers. Now take a yardstick and try it. You can't move it
Yeah.
as fast.
You can't move it.
So,
Yeah.
but you can't use that without hunting because it's just too long. You got
Yeah.
to use something a little shorter. And I don't have a specific target bow. Both of mine are hunting bows. I just want to hunt with. The other one I go shoot other stuff with.
But you say that, but who's to say you can't put long bars on one of those and make it work?
Right. Yeah.
And what defines a bow as a target bow?
The one you shoot targets at.
There you go. Because really, I mean, you think about it. I can take my hunting bow and shoot targets. So is it a target bow? Well, what do you mean? A target? What's your definition of a target bow? I mean, most guys, it's long bars. Okay, I take those long bars off. I put short bars on. Now what is it? Well, it's a hunting bow. Is it? I still have the same scope, same lens, same peep, everything on it, but
Yeah.
short bars. And any bow you can use as target. You don't, even the beginners, you don't have to have the highest end target bow. You can find a used hunting bow with a little bit longer axle to axle and set it up for a first starter target bow to see how you like it.
Well, and they're a little more forgiving. The longer bows and the slower bows,
Yeah.
they're more forgiving.
Yeah.
I used to tell people, you get the fast bows that just magnify your mistakes more. So the faster the bow, the better your form has to be. So if you want to shoot a fast bow, you better have a good form because it's going to magnify it.
Yeah. So that's always been, if you've been around the clubs, that's always been the big argument. Well, how fast? Everybody goes, how fast is your bow? It doesn't matter. It shoots my arrow well. I mean, most of your ASAs, they got speed limits. Most of your shoots have speed limits. But you're not going to take a bow that shoots 310 feet a second to go shoot a Vegas round. You're going to be exhausted by the time you get done. Because you're probably pulling 70 pounds plus. If not, you're lucky enough to probably got a 31-inch draw. But most guys shooting indoor are shooting a big diameter arrow with a lot of weight. And, 3D wise, you get the, like I said, local shoots, you get the guys bringing out their hunting bows, which I'm glad to see. They're shooting them. But it's speed. Everybody gets hung up on speed. How fast is that? How fast is that? I get it. I mean, I just don't see, I'm not hung up on speed. I'm hung up, how does that bow feel when I draw it? Can I hold it well? Will it do what I need it to do in the long run?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing of getting in with somebody, a bow tech that knows what they're doing, and an archery instructor that knows what you're doing to get you set up, get you started. And I know when I had my store, I'd set the bows up and I give them shooting instruction. I'd give them some lessons before they even got out of the store, and that's because I want them to be able to shoot good, and that's just part of what I give with all my bows. Whether you're buying the low end Nova bow or the high end Pro Series bow, you still got instruction because I wanted you to be able to shoot.
Yeah. So, well, going back to speed, we were at an R100 and we were there shooting against some people, and it was an unknown part of it called the Super 10. It's 10 targets. You don't know the distance. You judge it. You shoot it. It's two-man best shot, basically. And we're there shooting, and one goes, how fast is your bow? And there was to the guy in front of us. I looked at him, don't tell her how fast your bow is. So don't, because if you do, she's going to figure out how far the target is. Certain people, and you talk with your unknown shooters that shoot unknown distance for archery. They listen to the arrow. How quick did it get there? So they can kind of, and everybody's at a max speed. Let's say ASA max speed unknown is 290 for the pro class. Most of your pro archers can listen to where the arrow hits, and they can judge, wow, that helps me. Maybe it was that far. So there's another, it's the things that you learn along the way to help you get better. I mean, it's even like that with hunting, So but then you get the argument unknown, known. But then I ask, how many of you go out to the deer stand without a rangefinder anymore? And I shoot known distance. It's because I don't have time to practice judging. It comes down, I just don't have time to practice judging. Is it an excuse? No, I just don't make time to do it. It's easier for me to grab my bow, practice, grab the rangefinder. Oh, it's 29 yards. I'll decide 29 yards and we shoot it. Instead of sitting there going, maybe it's 28 and a half. Maybe it's 31 and a half. We'll just guess. Here we go, But like the judging is a dying art too, and but technology is great when it
Yeah,
works.
I just got me a rangefinder this last year. So it's the first time I used it was this year.
Really?
Yeah. I've been shooting a bow for probably over 50 years, and I've never had a rangefinder. I always just learned how to range to them, and when I get up in the tree, I would look at the tree because a lot of times you're up in a hill, and this one time I was up in a hill and up in a tree stand, and it was way down in the valley below, and I just ranged to the tree, and it was a 20-yard range to the trail, but it looked like it was 40. The animal looked like it
Yep.
was 40 because of the angle. And
Yep.
sure enough, I'd come by there, shot it for 20, hit row on it.
Yeah. The hills and stuff, that's so deceiving. Then you start worrying about cuts. Oh, do I need to cut a yard? I mean, do I need to add a yard? Like shooting uphill, they say cut a yard. You cut a yard going uphill, and it just, yeah. There's a lot of tricks you need to learn, even hunting. I mean, you got your cut charts, or anymore, you got your rangefinder that'll do it all for you. They'll
Right,
figure it out.
right. But some 3D shoots won't let you use a rangefinder.
No, they will
because
not.
unmarked, so you can't use one. In fact, if you're using one, then your scars don't count for any kind of trophies or anything. But the thing people don't realize on shooting up or downhill, it's not like, well, you don't want to cut a yard, add a yard. It's the the carpenters know the 3, 4, 5 triangle. So let's say you're 30 yards out and you're 40 yards above it. What do you shoot it for? Because the straight angle says it's 50. You shoot it for 30 because it's straight horizontal is 30 feet. Gravity works straight down, not at an angle.
Yep.
And once you get that, it's like, oh, okay, that I'm going to range to where the base of it is, not where my angle is. Okay, kind of figure out where that is. And if you're on the side of a hill, that's a little bit tough because you can't range out to where underneath them, but you just have to kind of, okay, that's where they would be at. Just realize that you're going to be off depending on how far up they are. The further up they are, the less you're going to have to shoot it for. And that's what's nice about the rangefinders is that they take that angle in compensation and say, oh, okay, this is 50, but we're only actually 30 away because of the angle.
Yep, they do it all for you. So yeah.
It's like direction someplace. Everybody uses GPS now or remembering somebody's phone number.
I know right where it's all in my phone.
Yeah.
I don't hardly remember anybody's phone numbers anymore because it's all on the phone. I just look it up and then hit dial. So,
well, when I was a kid, you had to know the number because it was the dial. You turn the dial to different numbers, so you had to know them or write them down somewhere. And you couldn't go anywhere to talk because depending on how long your cord was.
Yep.
You're tethered to a cord, and
you're tethered to a cord.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would we do without cell phones? The world would be a little quieter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't have all these phones going off all the time.
Nope.
Well, what are your parting thoughts that you might let somebody know that's just thinking about getting in archery?
Find a good shop to get you started. There's a lot of shop. Okay. I know shops don't always have the time to help set up and teach. There are some that will. YouTube helps, but keep an open mind because what is on YouTube might not work for you. You don't need the best. You don't need to go out and buy the best all the time. Start with something simple. Make it, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, really.
Right.
Just start out simple and go from there. And try to learn cause and effect. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? Just have fun with it. Don't get, just have fun. Get a bow, get set up, and just shoot and have fun. Find people to be around that are like-minded like you, and you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I mean, that's about all you can really do with it.
Yeah, and that's why I set up the Facebook group, Archer Talk 101's Facebook group. And in there, if you want to upload a video, we'll give you some ideas and pointers. We don't allow any links to any outside anything. If you want to upload your video, go right ahead. And somebody will look at it. If you have questions, it's just a safe place to ask the questions. I always say the only stupid question is one you haven't asked. Because if it's you have a question, ask it. Everybody started out not knowing what's going on. Just the simplest question, so if it's on your mind as a question, ask it. And that's what the group's set up to do, to help you out that way, and get some instruction. And I've been setting bows up since 2001 when we got my store, and I've been teaching archery since 1995, and I've taught hundreds of people how to shoot. So and those that have listened, so this far anyway, there's if you want to see if coaching might be for you, I have a consultation call, 15-minute one that's free. I'll leave a link in the description for the form to fill out for that. But just find somebody that can help you out. There's ways to start, and you just got to start doing it. And don't be afraid to ask. That's kind of, it's made it this far.
Yeah.
It's like, I've enjoyed talking to you. It's a lot of fun, and I can talk a lot longer, but we've been kind of going about an hour and a half now. So I try to set schedule for an hour, but we always go over. We get talking, and it's always a lot of fun. I
enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So my name is Roy Canterbury. I've been your host on Archer Talk 101 here on the podcast with Adam, talking about archery, and we've had a whole lot of fun. And don't forget, just listen for the next one to come out. They come out right now. They're coming out twice a week. It was once a week, but get more of them than I can keep up with once a week. So twice a week, these come out. Just go ahead and watch for them, either on the Facebook group. You can join that. You can get them live as we do them, or on the podcast. I'll leave a link to the Spotify in there. Also, you can go out to my YouTube channel. I have one called Learn to Fix It Yourself, which is all kinds of fix-it stuff. Yeah, we can fix your form. We can fix your lack of knowledge on archery. You can fix your need to hear more about archery. All kinds of things. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you next week.